unemployed. I get paid. I'm actually getting paid on the 15th. So, how's that for unemployed?
How's it going, guys? Yes, not one Tophiachu video this week, we've got two. And you may be wondering, Chinchilla, why are we doing Tophiachu again so soon? And it's because Tophiachu just cannot stop. I'm so nervous, guys, that I'm gonna wake up tomorrow after recording this and realize that I've got a brand new Tophiachu video to make because something has just happened in the Chuverse. All of a sudden, in the middle of the night, Tophiachu says, guys, I have got an emergency right now, and everyone knows where Tophiachu is staying at, that things could be like chaotic in an instant. So she's like taking advantage of this. And I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but the way Tophiachu has been acting like the last couple of days, I don't even think I can contain myself. So Tophiachu is just basically on there like, guys, I need money so bad. You have to give me every dime in your wallet. And then you might be wondering, well, what happened? Nothing, guys. Nothing happened. It turns out that Tophiachu was just changing shelters. She was simply going to a motel for a night and she just wanted some extra funds to spend. Now, this would just be a regular thing we might talk about next week until the more recent pictures have surfaced. And what surfaced here recently just blew my mind because we all know that Tophiachu is very aware of her actions and how it's going to make the trolls respond. She knows it. She'll do something and the first thing that she'll say, exactly like when she was asking for money a couple of days ago, is, hey, I know what the trolls are going to say about this, but I'm going to do it anyways. So, let's take a little bit of a history lesson, right? A little Chustery, if you will. Back when Brother Chu was first spray painting his car, just writing anything on it, having all of his friends sign it, he ended up writing Free Diddy on the car. Now, Tophiachu, as soon as he did this, was furious. Tophiachu was like, why would you do this when you know as soon as the first picture is taken of this and they see that I'm in it, I'm gonna get clowned non-stop and they're gonna say I support Diddy, and worst of all, they're gonna say you support Diddy. And Brother Chu just didn't mind the allegations. He's like, you know what, Tophiachu, I'm not concerned about your problems. I'm gonna live my life. I'm supporting Diddy right now. Go on about your day. And Tophiachu, she stumbled over into the car, you know, crushed Papachu a little bit, didn't even apologize. Papachu's the one who said sorry. Got on TikTok and immediately flamed her brother, told everyone, like, listen, when you see this, not my fault. It was on him. But then fast forward to now when Tophiachu is in possibly her worst circumstance of all time, when she needs donators more than she even realizes. She decides to take herself to a gambling joint to go hit up the casino for a little bit. And if you're in Tophiachu's shoes, obviously, guys, a person who we've just mentioned is very aware of her actions and how that'll affect things. When you get asked, hey, would you like to go to the casino? Even if the person is paying for you, you might say, you know what, I think it's more valuable for my reputation that's holding on by a string. And it's, for most people, the string is snapped, it's went down the river, it doesn't even exist anymore. But you know, for the rare few out there, she's like, I can't afford it. Or at least that's what she should have said. But Tophiachu's like, oh yeah, earn some more money at a casino? Me and the casino are one and the same. They don't call me Scam Chu for nothing, baby. And she hit up the casino and she was playing the slots. And guys, that's if Tophiachu wasn't lying about a thing. And 9 times out of 10, Tophiachu isn't the most reliable narrator. So who knows, she might have been spending some more donation money. Let's go ahead and let Tophiachu explain why she was in such an emergency all of a sudden and why she felt the need to tell you guys, even though she spends about 90% of the time misunderstanding the situation on purpose.
Some people lack the common sense of what certain shelters are for, and it is also for housing people that can't necessarily afford housing. That is something that people don't have the common sense for. Like, when rich people are born of money, they're rich. When people are born of poverty, they stay poor. That's how the system is built. Like, the system is built poorly. So, when explaining things, no, shelters are not necessarily for people to get a job. Shelters are to house people until they work on their housing or move forward, because here, as far as many places, A lot of shelters require 3 to 4 times the rent, and if you don't have 3 to 4 times the rent, then you can't rent, and that is what's hurting a lot of people from getting places. Again, the reason why they charge 3 to 4 times the rent is they really want to make sure people can pay the rent, but it hurts people who fall under low income when it comes to making the minimum wage and living off of minimum wage. That is something that doesn't help people. And frankly, people need to do more research before speaking. But I'm going to explain it, and I'm going to condense it very, very small because I'm not going to give up details. So anyway, some stuff happened. I was being dropped off at another shelter, and this girl's like, hey, you want to stay with me in my motel room so you don't have to stay in the shelter? She didn't feel it was right for me to stay in the shelter, so she asked me if I could stay with her at the motel room. I was like, sure, because that is very kind of someone to offer. I had been going through a really rough, couple of days that is very horrible considering my situation and what I have to constantly keep going through. So, yeah, I really just wanted to get a good night's sleep.
What is Tophiachu even talking about in the beginning? She's completely deflecting from the point. She's trying to make it like an argument that people don't understand that Tophiachu was in a certain shelter and she had to be moved to another. And that's not what really people are talking about. Like, yes, there was some people making some false reports saying, hey, Tophiachu got kicked out. And I don't even know if it was false reports because of the way that Tophiachu was reacting. And that's why people were upset, Tophiachu. It's the fact that you were only going to be gone for a night, maybe even 2, and you was put up in a hotel room anyways. Actually, I think it was a motel room with a friend, but you decide to post, I have an emergency, please. I know what everyone's gonna say, but I have to ignore that in this terrible, terrible moment I'm in. Please give me money. Tophiachu, you 100% knew what you was doing. You was pulling a DSP move and you was trying to make everyone feel bad for you so they paid you more money. And that's really scummy behavior. If you're trying to get donations from people, that's not the move. That's not the tactic. I understand that you're in a shelter and you can't stream at some points, but you're also a grown woman and you may be afraid of the streets, but if you need money that desperately, you gotta go outside and live stream. You can't just post, I have an emergency every time something goes wrong from here on out. This is what people was expecting was going to happen, and you're 100% proving them right by this post.
So the girl that took me to the casino, she was around gambling, so she stole her money because she gave me 80, and then she said, she was like, oh girl, we spent 400. She said we gambled 400. We didn't win really nothing. Well, I didn't win anything, and neither did she, but she said I gambled most of my money because she's going into a program for a year that'll help her get housing. So yeah, that's why she wasn't in the photo, because she was walking around gambling, and that's the reason why. I'm not gonna film somebody without their knowledge. There was a caseworker on the Reddit that had already explained everything that I'm trying to explain to you. It is very hard to get housing when places want 2 to 3 times the rent. You are not going to make that working anywhere, even if you get a job. And to say that I'm making an excuse to get a job, no, I'm not. I got paid $2,400 to do an ad for Temu. I'm having a hard time getting that payment. I cannot get that payment. Once I get that payment, I could work on getting a car. That's the thing. I can only slowly work on getting things. Right now, I'm slowly trying to work on getting housing, which is very hard to get housing. There are other people getting housing before me that have no jobs, nothing. I deserve to be in a house and be safe, but I'm being put in danger constantly. People have to stop acting like they know solutions that don't work. It does not work. I am telling you, what you suggest does not work. I literally know a couple people, considering that I've met a couple people at the shelter that are working and still can't afford a place to live. That's not logical.
Tophiachu just doesn't understand how bad this looks. She tries to come up with a reasonable excuse, and it's coming from Tophiachu, so I always assume it's a lie, just a majority of the time, until I see some like actual proof. If not, you know, I just leave it up in the air. I'm like, okay, we will figure out the legitimacy of this later on. And the casino stuff, the GoFundMe stuff, it's in the same category. We're gonna figure out later on, but when you really think about it, it doesn't look good for Tophiachu, because a large part of the community has been split here recently on like wondering what has happened to the GoFundMe. A whole lot of people have just said she didn't get it, that's the end of the story basically. And then there's like a smaller group of people who are thinking, well, Tophiachu would have like a bigger crash out. And I'm like split 50-50 to be honest with you guys. I'm not sure either way, because I do think if Tophiachu knew that she wasn't getting it for sure, huge crash out. But it's also Tophiachu. She could be lazy right now and just not care about it. I mean, we know this is her entire life goal, but that hasn't stopped her before. But the lack of no crash out has made people think, well, maybe Tophiachu might have got it and just kept it a secret from everybody. But I figured, yo, like she would definitely like spill the beans, like 100%. So I don't think that's necessarily the case, but it definitely makes people wonder when you're out there hitting up a casino. And at the same time, as you're telling this story to us, you proceed to mention that you're about to get $2,400 from Temu for doing an advertisement for them. So the way I'm thinking, you know, the more likely scenario is Tophiachu had a little bit of money, she had a little bit of fan donations, and she was about to get that $2,400. She couldn't believe it. A miracle had been served, but she's not been receiving the money. She doesn't know how to get it, and she hasn't heard from her contact in a little bit. And that's a big problem, especially if Big Toph definitely did go hit the casino with some of her spare money, thinking she was about to get $2,400. Like, there's something suspicious about her telling us that.
Anyways, I see your face. He's arrested, and his caseworker has not contacted me back, so I don't know what's going on there. Obviously, people shared his police record, and I think that he's taking what happened to my brother pretty hard. I don't know, so I'm like trying to figure things out, but you know. Oh, thank you. I see your face, and I know it just ain't true. How can you tamper with medication you don't have? Because they have to give it to you. They have to give it to him in a shot form. So either he has to go to the VA or someone has to come give it to him, which he lost that privilege because he threatened the person. So now he has to go to the VA get it. And he hasn't been getting his medication for years because we didn't know where he was at. We went to look for him one time, and we were going back to where we were sleeping, and some police pulled us over because the car is not registered. My brother was trying to get the car part fixed to get the car registered. It was a whole thing. We didn't know that you didn't need to pass submissions to get a car registered. They changed the law in New Mexico, and my brother didn't know that. So then we had to go back to where we were gonna go sleep because, yeah, we saw a video someone posted of him, and my brother was like, I know where that's at. So we went to go look, and he was, we went to go look, and he wasn't there, so we were having a hard time like finding him.
So I went ahead and found another live stream that Tophiachu did here recently that I completely missed because I was like, we may as well not drop the shortest Tophiachu video in all of history. So let's do another one. Let's add another live stream to this. Big shout out to It's a Patty Melt. And in this, we have her talking about Papachu again. Papachu has been a big subject in the Tophiachu verse because someone made a tweet saying that Tophiachu has been messing with Papachu's medication for a long time. And yeah, that's most definitely a lie. Like, there's no chance that happened. Papachu is probably keeping a lockdown on that stuff if he was even taking it at all. Like, I normally don't believe Tophiachu on too many things, but when she's telling us about Papachu, I tend to believe her. I just find it so funny when she pretends to actually care. Like she's actually going to do something to help Papachu when we all know he is the lowest thing on her priority list. And look, I don't blame her at all. We've heard all the past stories that she's told us. Most people wouldn't either, and we know how Papachu acts. What could Tophiachu really do to assist him? Tophiachu can't really assist herself, but it's the weird thing where Tophiachu will like hear these things on the internet and immediately address them for no reason. Anyone with common sense who is just not trying to get at her a little bit will know that Tophiachu didn't do that, or most likely didn't do that, and Papachu's losing it 24/7 on his own volition. But she'll bring this stuff up and it always makes her look a little bit worse for absolutely no reason, and in the process proceeds to tell us something that I guess she technically did do. When they were in the Chew Cruiser, all the time they'd be like, listen, we're gonna go find Papachu tonight, don't even worry about it. But now, since it's been a long time since then, Tophiachu has forgot about that, and she tells us the truth. There was one time they went looking for Papachu, just once. They barely even tried, they ended up going home pretty soon after that. They literally went off a hint. The people on the streets were doing a far better job keeping track of Papachu than they were.
That lady did not confront my dad and a girl, and considering why would you send your daughter to a place, she took advantage of the situation to film the inside. She was not going because of some stupid love letter. She was going into our apartment to film what it looked like. Especially because why are you walking up to my door filming already? Does that not, this is not an episode of Cheaters. This is not an episode of MTV Cribs. If you're walking up to someone's place filming, obviously it's for clout. Why would you want to admit some man with mental illness is writing you love letters? That is the weirdest thing. You will never, that's like someone saying, oh, guess what? John Wayne Gacy wrote me love letters from prison. You're walking up to someone's place filming them. Why release it now? Why not release it then? She sat on this video for how long? Oh, now that everyone's dogpiling on me, she wants to do it too. It doesn't matter if I let her in. I let her in because there were people that was coming to the door. First of all, my dad, when he's well, he makes friends with the neighbors. The neighbors come over to ask for things or, to have conversations. I didn't let her in because I wanted to, considering the fact I'm trying to remember why this lady came over, because I know there was one lady whose kid was selling chocolates. I know that my dad makes friends with the neighbors because sometimes the neighbors will take him to get cigarettes or they let him borrow money, etc., etc. Doesn't matter if I let her in, right? When you're acting like you're on your phone and acting like you're not filming, I cannot stand there and accuse you of filming me. I didn't hand her a love letter. Oh, actually, I do know why that lady was there. And no, it was not a love letter. Actually, that was one of the people he was borrowing money from for cigarettes because he didn't have cigarette money. So no, I didn't hand her another love letter. I actually handed her a letter that says he was asking her to, that he was asking her for money for cigarettes, which I hated because he would always send me to ask the neighbor for money for cigarettes. That's why she was there. Now you reminded me why. Because he was writing, or unless but I know that he writes not letters, but notes to people to borrow money from them for cigarettes. And I literally told him that I don't want to do it. He smokes 200 cigarettes a day. That is not a lie. My dad is very much addicted to cigarettes. He quit for almost 24 hours and then went back to smoking. He's tried to quit cold turkey and he hasn't. So yeah. He smoked 2 packs of cigarettes, which is 20 cigarettes. A pack of cigarettes has 10 in it. I literally had to go with change. He would collect change. He would ask my brother, because my brother had a lot of change. He would even take change from my brother's room and he would go and he would get cigarettes. He would take the TV that my brother won and pawn it for cigarettes.
Listen, I've heard all the backstory Tophiachu has told us about Papachu, and his reputation in my eyes has literally shot down tons, and it wasn't very high to begin with, but to compare him to JWG, that's some insane work. She was trying not to, but she ended up doing it, and Tophiachu was right on the money. If she would have just kept this line of thinking up, like, why would you bring your young daughter into this situation? Why would you bring him around Papachu? It doesn't make any sense. He was trying to do this for clout, and it ended up backfiring a little bit. Tophiachu wasn't wrong about any of that, but trying to deny that it was a love letter is kind of insane. Papachu wouldn't have opened up like this conversation he was having with her with, so what brought my improper conduct? That's not something you say after you tried to bum too many times for cigarettes. Like, it's Papachu, he'd probably still be trying to bum for cigarettes. The last time, I guess the only time we did a Papachu video, he was yelling at gas station workers to give him cigarettes. And Tophiachu has told us Papachu was just basically a scammer after he got out of the military, or he might have been before it. I can't quite remember, but I do know she said he basically got ran out of a town for scamming so many people. So it's kind of crazy that he would just befriend people to beg them for money, and not even really beg them for money, to write notes and send Tophiachu to their doorstep like a carrier pigeon saying, hey, my daughter is here to request some money for cigarettes for you. Most people would think that Tophiachu was just running the biggest plot in the world. Maybe that was Papachu's idea, so whenever they came to him like, hey, did you bum enough money to buy 200 cigarettes? No, that was my daughter Tophiachu. Bad habit that girl has. We're gonna kick her out sometime soon. It's kind of crazy that it was so bad. Tophiachu was like, he smoked 200 cigarettes a day, which would just be impossible. I don't even think Del Gribble got to those numbers. He actually might have. We think Papachu might be a little off sometimes, but that's just how you act when you need 15 smokes all at the same time. But I guess that's enough from me today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like. If you haven't already, subscribe, follow all the socials down below, comment as well, and I'll catch you guys next time.